Sound check 1 2 3. Sound check 1 2 3.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we have quorum present for today's meeting, I'd like to call this meeting of the Hamilton Municipal Heritage Committee to order. Just a reminder that all electronic devices are to be switched to a non-audible function during our committee meetings. As we go through our attendance, I'd just like to ask all of members just to acknowledge that you're present. Councillor Cameron Kretsch.
I'm present.
Karen Burke has sent her regrets. Graham Carroll.
Present.
Andrew Douglas.
Present.
Lynn Lundstedt. Present. Andy McLaren. Stefan Spalnick.
Present.
Great, thank you, everyone. And we'll now move on to the approval of our agenda. May I please have a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda as presented?
I see Andrew and Graham.
And are there any amendments to from the committee members to the agenda today? Graham, go ahead.
I'd like to bring up for discussion the Hamilton Mountain Maternity Hospital and the threats that are coming up to it.
So through the chair, is that part of the watch list or is that? Okay, so we can speak to it when we get to that item.
Okay, I forgot I thought about that. Thank you.
Any other amendments? If not, as we move to vote, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Item 4 is our declarations of interest. Are there any declarations today? Go ahead, Graham.
What was it called again?
Non-disqualifying.
Non-disqualifying conflict, because Megan Hobson and I both sit on the committee for the Heritage Conference coming up.
So through the chair, you just need to identify the item.
Item 6.1.
It's in regards to the delegate.
And also would it be item 8.4, which they're speaking on?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
And then I would declare the same interest as well as we sit on the committee for the Heritage Conference. Are there any other declarations today? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5 is the approval of our minutes from the previous meeting. We have before us the meeting notes of October 24th, 2025. May I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes as presented?
I see Graham and Andrew.
And is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Item 6 is our delegations. So before we begin our delegation for today's, members are reminded that questions of the delegations are for clarification purposes only and not for debate. Just a note to our delegates, you have 5 minutes to complete your delegation, but it is my understanding that the delegates would like to extend their presentation time to 10 minutes. So before us, we have 6.1 is Megan Hobson, a Hobson Built Heritage, and Jason Cassis, equal parts hospitality. Respecting 8.4, notice of intention to demolish the building located at 152 King Street West in Hamilton, being a non-designated property listed on the Municipal Heritage Register in Ward 2, PED 25230. So the delegates have requested an additional 5 minutes to complete their delegation. May I have a mover and a seconder to extend the delegation time by 5 minutes?
I see Andrew and Lynn.
And before we move to vote, is there anyone opposed to extending that time? Seeing none, that item is carried. Welcome, Megan and Jason. So again, you will have 10 minutes and you can begin your delegation whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Megan Hobson. I am the heritage consultant that did the heritage impact assessment for this application. The property is 152 King Street West. I'm showing you a picture there looking west on King Street so that you can see the context. The subject building is on the right. It's a corner property. Most people know it as the George Tavern, and you can see there's the name on the side there. And you can see the context is changing very much in this area. Across the street is the tower that McMaster has put up recently and a few towers in the background. But on the right side of King Street, or the north side, there's this row of attached 19th century buildings, including the one in the corner that is subject of today's application. Wraps around the corner of King Street and Bay Street. Next slide, please. Oh, I could do that myself. Okay, thanks. So it's a Vancouver Group development in partnership with Equal Parts Hospitality. Jason Casas is here today, and that's why we asked for an extension, is just to give you a little bit more information about the developments proposed on the site. The project team includes Gunther Blues, who is watching live at the moment. He's designed the new development, and he's the architect for Vancouver Group. The new design is very much inspired by the Heritage Building and the context of the Heritage Building, which we'll get to towards the end of the presentation. I'm the heritage consultant, and the structural engineer that came and had a look at the building and its condition. Ed Brancis from Sigmund Sudak is also online watching. And he helped to clarify the condition of the building because there were a number of concerns. His report's included in the appendix of my report, and it informed some of the conclusions. So historically, the buildings were a hotel and tavern. Here's a lovely photograph from 1910, sort of showing it at its peak. The buildings were built in 1866, and as you can see, they're part of this connected row, and then turns around the corner with additional stores fronting on Bay Street. The back portion has less sort of ornamental features, but on the King Street facade, we have some Italianate details like the window pediments, the pilasters, the roof cornice, and then the cornice above the storefront with finials and other decorative details. So that was kind of what it looked like at its peak. It is primarily important for its historic association as a hotel and a tavern since 1866 on this site has operated. So the Palm Hotel operated there from 1866 to 1904, about 50 years. The Regal Hotel operated there for 100 years after that. And then following that, the George Tavern operated until very recently. The new development is also going to be a restaurant and tavern. So in a sense, it's going to be continuing the historic use. So when we looked more closely at the condition, this is what we found. On the left, I'm showing you a photograph from sort of the mid-20th century to show the deterioration of the brick. And you can see the sort of the dark staining there is probably where the brick is saturated and it's attracted soiling from the atmosphere. So there's a lot of brick damage. And for that reason, sometime in the 20th century, to remedy that rather than repairing the masonry, they installed a cement stucco. We did some testing to see if that was something that could be removed, and unfortunately it's not something that could be removed because of the way it's been applied and because of the nature of the material. So it's not a lime parging, it's a cement stucco, and it's installed directly onto the brick with a wire mesh that's screwed right through the brick face. So on the left, below the center picture, you can see where we chipped away. It's also very, very hard. So we chipped away a bit to see, as you chip it away, you take away the surface of the brick. There's no way you could separate it without damaging the brick. And then we could also see that it's attached with a wire mesh that's screwed into the brick. And on the right is just an example of that type of installation from the engineer. So that was some of the destructive testing we did to look at the brick. So looking at exterior, and then of course the storefronts and everything down below and everything along the roof line has been changed also. On the right is a photograph of the sort of types of conditions that you find inside. That is one of the rooms on the 3rd floor, and that's a window looking out to King Street. And you can see that there's the ceiling has collapsed because so much water has come in through the roof, and there are patches on the roof. The fascia board is open in a lot of places. You can see the water's been getting in for some time extensively. So it's not just the water, but the freeze-thaw cycles over a couple of winters has created a lot of damage inside. So that's pretty significant on the first and second and third floors, and then the rear additions are exceptionally bad and have also been extensively gutted inside, and some structural walls have been removed. Further details about the conditions and more photographs are in the report, which you've already seen. So just taking a look at some of those sort of heritage features that I mentioned, I identified on that earlier photograph, and then what kind of condition are they in now? And unfortunately, the building has very limited integrity in terms of what original features remain. And then looking at what does remain, there's some evidence that the wood cornice maybe is partially preserved underneath some wood boards and lighting that have been installed there. So that's that first floor wooden cornice. We don't know the condition or whether it could be removed or whether it's rotted out, but that's just something that I flagged as having potential for being salvaged. And then also the stone pediments, they've been painted and we're not sure if they're stone or terracotta. So all of these details would have to be worked out to see if they were suitable for salvage. But there is something that I flagged as a potential. If the building's to be demolished, then that is something that could be considered, because they'll have to demolish it fairly carefully because it's attached to the building next door. So it'll have to be a kind of a controlled demolition process with some shoring. And that allows for an opportunity to potentially remove some items as you go down, or at the very least to document them. So the new development is comprised of a sort of a 3-story podium on King Street that matches the heights and floor levels of the attached row, and also sort of the vertical divisions between the bays and the styles of the windows with pediments above. So, so very much referencing the heritage building in terms of the massing and the design details, and of course the materials they're proposing brick. And then at the back there'll be a tower that'll be a modern component that has boutique hotel rooms. So the corner site will continue to be a restaurant and tavern use, and it will maintain the massing and scale of the heritage building. So I'm going to now, are there any questions for me before we go on, or perhaps just pass it on to Jason? So Jason is now just going to talk a little bit about his plans for the site.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. So we got involved in this project on the corner. We were looking for a site for a boutique hotel. This is clearly sort of ground zero for a boutique hotel. When you think about the hotel stock in Hamilton at present, it is all very similar stock. So they're very, we call it Hotel Anywhere, which is basically the same type of stock in most available brands or international brands. So what we're attempting to do here is a true one-off boutique hotel of approximately 90 rooms with a beautiful food and beverage program, a great cocktail bar, a great restaurant, a great meeting space, and a really interesting tower that juxtaposes the original form on the corner. The point of the design was to preserve the heritage feel and look on the corner actually almost identically on King Street. On Bay Street, the issue is there's only 4 tiny little windows in that existing building, and clearly the building is in terrible condition. In order to accommodate a project of this size, we need to go down at least 20 feet below the building in order to gain back of house function, laundry, all of the things that you would associate with a hotel or conference or restaurant and so on. The building itself on the corner is actually only 40 feet by 40 feet wide. So it's 1,600 square feet is the corner. The balance of the building in the back where you see this tower is a bit bigger, allowing us to go up to that height. The key thing about Equal Parts Hospitality is we typically, actually, we have never gone into new construction. We have only ever gone into heritage construction. When looking at this site, we're in love with the site, but the building is extremely challenging between its condition, its size, the ability to preserve it if we were to go down 20 feet is all not economical to do. In keeping with our brand and our brand promise of doing unique things like the French or the Aberdeen Tavern or the Diplomat, if you've been to the Gaslight District in Cambridge and seen that district, which is all, about 120, 130-year-old buildings, we only do heritage. So we are huge fans of heritage. In this case, this heritage is simply too far gone for us to pull back. Having said that, we do want to replicate what is there on the corner, make it better, pull in some of the unique features, whether that's moldings or whether that's cornices or the pediments above the windows, which we can do in precast. The existing ones now have all been painted. And we look forward to restoring that heritage on the corner in new. In terms of the tower, we chose something that looks more like you would find in mid-century Hamilton. It actually has a lot of steel and exposed steel on the tower. You may find something like that also in Brooklyn, New York, which is a bit where we received sort of our guidance from. We were looking at really solid boutique hotel design. And we encourage you to support our application to get this thing, get a shovel in the ground and get this built.
Thank you both. Do we have any questions for our delegates? So we'll start a speakers list. So we've got Graham, we've got Lynn. Anyone else? So we'll start with Graham.
Well, thank you for coming in today and explaining your project to us. But my one question is, you mentioned you're going to try to salvage the pediments and then you're not going to reuse them. Why?
We're not going
I can speak to that. So right now, we don't know if they're stone or terracotta. We don't know if we'll be able to get the paint off or not. So when you're installing a stone pediment into a brick veneer, you'd have to cut it down and pin it in. So it's quite complicated technically. So we don't know the condition. So that's hard to know. Also, I don't know if the dimensions for the new windows will be exactly the same as the dimensions of the existing windows. They'll be close, but it's going to be new construction. So the windows, they might be slightly larger, so then they wouldn't fit. So my best guess for how they could be repurposed would be on the interior as some kind of cool feature. Like, let's say you had a room and you had like a kind of a niche for a bar or something in a private room, and then you used the pediment for that, and it would be the right scale so that you wouldn't have to modify it.
Okay, that's kind of curious because you're gonna, obviously it looks like you're painting the ones that are going in, so paint's not really an issue. And if their building's not designed yet, well, you designed the window size to suit what you have. So I just thought it'd be nice to at least go back in place, but thank you for explaining.
I think there would be consideration given to it, but I'm just sort of outlining all the issues that we're going to come across when it comes to actually trying to facilitate that.
Well, it's early. It's my only concern. Like, there's very little you can actually save on this building.
Yeah.
You can see the condition on the interior, and it's not in very good shape. So that's a nice looking building on the end. Oh, those windows facing east, are those like old and like replicating industrial style, small panes, multiples of them?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
We wanted to let as much light into that space as possible, given that it's sort of a communal space where people can gather as opposed to hotel room.
And the way I spoke about it in my report was it's kind of a cool transition as the building goes around to the more contemporary tower at the back. Yeah.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Thanks, through the chair. I just wanted to say that I really like this design. This is one of the few that I really like right off the bat. I'm just curious, the top two floors on the corner, what are they going to be?
If you imagine when you walk in to the building, we have planned a really cool vintage looking, what's it called? A circular door. revolving door, which is going to be heritage looking. And when you walk in, we want you to be able to look up to a mezzanine level. And on that mezzanine level is where you would hold a private function. So the restaurant would be downstairs and the bar would be downstairs. But if it was your birthday and you had 20 people with you, you would go up onto this mezzanine overlooking down below to the reception area and desk and bar and lounge. That's on the second floor.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions of the delegates? Andrew, go ahead.
Just curious as to what are your actual timelines for starting construction?
If it were up to us, it would have been a month and a half ago. Right now, the city is desperate for boutique hotel space. We know we operate the laundry rooms on Augusta, which is really an extended stay type of product. When the arena fills up, that fills up so quickly, it's crazy. So we really do need different levels of hotel rooms in the city. We need extended stay, which we have. We need regular stock for people who are more budget conscious. And then for someone who's coming into town, typically they're staying right now in Burlington. If they're looking for a higher end product, we want them to be in Hamilton. We want them to support our restaurants and our activities and our retailers and our tax base ultimately.
Any other questions? All right. So there's no other questions. May I have a mover and a seconder to receive the delegation?
I see Graham and Councillor Crutch.
And as we move to vote, is there anyone opposed to receiving the delegation? Seeing none, that item is carried. Thank you again both for presenting.
Thanks for your time.
We now move on to item 6.2. We have Kathy Stacy respecting item 8.3, Heritage Permit Application HP 2025-040 under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act for the demolition of non-heritage structures on a designated property located at 265 Mill Street South, Ward 15, PED 25231. Welcome, Kathy.
Hello, can everyone see me
Yes, we can.
and hear me? Okay, great. Hi, everyone.
So you have 5 minutes and you can begin anytime you want.
Right. So we weren't really going to do a presentation of, we're really just here to actually answer questions today. I think there was a staff presentation for the demolition of the accessory structure.
Oh, can you hear us, Kathy? No.
Kathy, are you able to hear us?
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes, we can.
I think I froze. I shut the camera off. It's probably the internet being a little bit funny with us. So I'll leave the camera off for now. I'm not sure if you caught everything I said. Basically, I'm just here really to answer questions on the staff presentation for this demolition of the accessory structure at 265 Mill Street in Waterdown.
Okay, yeah, not a problem. So, so do we have any questions of our delegate right now? Seeing none. So may I have a mover and a seconder just to receive the delegation?
I see Andrew and Graham.
Okay, and as we move to vote, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. So Kathy, we will, if there's any questions, we will ask you.
Okay, great, thanks.
Item 7 is our items of information. So we have before us items 7.1 to 7.9. May I have please have a mover and a seconder to receive the items for information?
I see Andrew and Lynn.
And before we vote, is there any discussion on any of the items? Did anyone have any questions pertaining to some? Seeing none, is there anyone opposed to vote? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Under item 8, items for consideration, we have 8.1 is the recommendation to designate 440 Victoria Avenue North, Hamilton, the former Otis Fensom office building under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act, Ward 3. So Alyssa Golden, Cultural Heritage Program Lead, will provide an introduction to the report.
Thanks, Chair. Hi, folks. Again, Alyssa Golden, Cultural Heritage Program Lead. Staff do have some slides prepared if there's an interest from the committee. This was a bit of a later report that we had prepared, so they're not on the agenda. So I'll just let folks know if that is something you're interested in. But primarily, I wanted to just indicate that this was a recommendation brought forward in response to a potential demolition of this property, which did not have any status under the Heritage Act, just listed on our inventory. We did receive as staff this morning an email from the owner indicating that they were in objection to the recommendation to designate. Unfortunately, that wasn't received in time to be put on the agenda formally for your information, but wanted to convey that. And happy to answer any questions the committee might have or have Kira do the presentation if you would like to see the full evaluation.
What is the committee's desire?
Kind of like to see it.
Oh, so first Graham, just a comment, and then Andrew?
Yes. I personally would like to see the report or the presentation, sorry.
Okay, is there no objection to seeing that report? Seeing none? Okay.
There we go. All right. Hello, my name is Kira Cook, Cultural Heritage Planning Technician, presenting on staff's recommendation to designate the property at 440 Victoria Avenue North through report PED 25151. Located at the corner of Victoria Avenue North and Ferry Street East, Hamilton, within Hamilton's Bayfront Industrial Area. The property was first surveyed for potential heritage interest in 2012. In 2017, as part of the conditionally approved site plan application, the structure was retained and reused. The structure was retained and reused, and a new development and existing feature. Hold on. The structure was to be retained and reused in a new development and existing features. On October 30th, 2025, a fire occurred at the vacant subject property. Building staff attended the building and confirmed that the fire damage was minimal and the property was open to trespass. On November 18th, 2025, staff was made aware of the property's owner's intention to submit a building permit to demolish the heritage building on the subject property. Here you can see a summary of staff's evaluation, which determined that the property meets 8 of the 9 criteria for designation, which I will now go into more detail on. The property meets 2 design and physical criteria. The property has design value as a rare and representative example of an early 20th century industrial office building constructed in the Edwardian Classicism style in 1929. Notable architectural features include its decorative brickwork, stone trim foundation, chamfered corner, resuscitated base, elegant roof cornice, and classical entablature over the main entrance on Victoria Avenue North. The 3-story brick structure was once part of a larger industrial complex and is a rare surviving example of this architectural typology in Hamilton. The property displays a high degree of craftsmanship as demonstrated in the ornamental detailing that enhances the otherwise utilitarian nature of an industrial facility. These features include the finely executed brickwork, dressed stone accents, chamfered building corner, and classic entablature over the main entrance on Victoria Avenue North. Go forward. The property meets all 3 of a historical associative criteria. It has historical value for its direct associations with Hamilton's industrial legacy, particularly through its connection with 2 major companies. The Otis Fences Elevator Company and the Studebaker has the potential to yield information that contributes to the understanding of a community or culture and demonstrates the work of prominent local architect firm Houghton and Souter. The property holds historical value to its association with Hamilton's industrial legacy, particularly through its connection with the two companies, the Otis Fenson Elevator Company and the Studebaker Corporation. The subject property was once part of a much larger industrial complex, which began in 1902 as the Otis Elevator Company of Canada, an extension of the American firm. In 1906, Otis merged with its Canadian competitor, Fenson's Toronto Elevator Manufacturing Company, forming the Otis Fenson Elevator Company. Due to the success of this company, the Hamilton plant underwent significant expansion in 1909 under the direction of renowned Hamilton architect Charles Mills. The complex underwent another major expansion in 1929, which included the construction of the current office building and marked the relocation of the company's Canadian headquarters to Hamilton. During the Second World War, the industrial complex was converted into a munitions plant funded by the Crown. The site expanded to 350 square feet and became Canada's leading facility for the production of 40mm Bofors gun barrels or anti-aircraft guns, employing over 3,000 skilled workers. This site and the Otis Fenson Elevator Company played a crucial role in Hamilton's wartime industrial utilization. After the war in 1946, the Canadian government sold the expanded facility to the Studebaker Corporation of South Bend, Indiana. Studebaker relocated its operations from Windsor, establishing Hamilton's first automotive manufacturing plant. By 1960, the plant would reach its peak production and would employ approximately 1,200 workers. In 1963, the company would undergo financial difficulties and would close its main plant in South Bend, Indiana. The Hamilton plant became its only remaining production facility before closing in 1966. Otis Fenson, then rebranded as Otis Canada, resumed elevator production on the property and repurchased the former Studebaker facility in 1969. Otis Canada and its employees were actively involved in the workers' rights movements, with notable strikes occurring in 1966, in 1969, and by the mid-1970s, Otis American's parent company faced financial hardship and was acquired by United Technologies Corporation, which subsequently took over Otis Canada in 1981. The property features the work of prominent architectural firm Hutton and Souter, led by William Russell Souter and George Hutton. The firm was commissioned in 1929 to design the office headquarters for the Otis Fenson Elevator Company. Their notable works include the Hamilton Post Office and the Neo-Gothic Basilica of Christ the King, for which Souter was awarded a medal by the Pope. The property meets all three contextual criteria. The property is important in defining the historical character of the area, is visually, historically, and physically linked to its surrounding, and is considered a local landmark. The property is important in defining the historical character of Hamilton's Bayfront industrial area. As one of the few remaining office buildings associated with a major industrial complex, it serves as a visual and cultural marker of Hamilton's industrial achievements. The property, with its distinctive large three-story massing and prominent corner setting at the Victoria Avenue and Ferry Street East, is considered a local landmark for its architectural style and its dominance of the intersection. Here you can see a short summary of the criteria here for your reference, with a full version of the Statement of Cultural Heritage Value and Interest in Appendix B of the staff report. Oh, there it is. And here is a list of heritage features identified to be included in the designation and will inform the writing of the designation bylaw. A full copy of them can be found in Appendix B of the staff report. And finally, it is recommended that the city clerk be given direction to give notice of council's intention to designate 440 Victoria Avenue North, and a fuller summary of this, which can be found in staff report PED 25151. Any questions?
Thank you, Kira. That was a great report. Do we have any questions? Go ahead, Graham.
Thank you very much. Great report. I wanted to be reminded how important this building was in my own head. I already know the Studebaker company was very important to Hamilton, especially when the Beaufort part was added. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist anymore. So we have to protect this building. Industrial heritage is Hamilton, and we have to protect what we can. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor.
Thanks. Yeah, I walk by this building from time to time, and one of the things about it that's a bit unfortunate is just the shape it's currently in. And so my question is really about if this moves forward, what will change about how it's maintained? Because right now, as far as I can tell, there's some significant issues with the building in terms of exposure, especially.
Through the chair to the councillor, so if recommendation to designate is approved by council, and if we do proceed and pass a bylaw, and it's registered on title and formally designated after the appeal period, we can then use the additional provisions under the property standards bylaw to ensure that the heritage attributes of the designated property are conserved. But in addition to that, with some of the other initiatives staff have been taking, collaborating with municipal law enforcement and building inspections, we would also look for a more proactive review of this property and trying to ensure that there isn't further deterioration of it in accordance with the general provisions currently of our property standards bylaw.
Thanks. I was mainly speaking to the structural integrity of the building over time because of the exposure. And so I guess that's something we can address more specifically. Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying about preserving the external heritage features, but I'm also concerned about those features existing if the building itself can't stand up anymore.
Through the chair, to elaborate on that as well. So we would be working with municipal law enforcement in terms of there are provisions in terms of for vacant buildings, heritage or not, to require an engineer's review or confirmation of the structural integrity of the building. So looking to try to collaborate on that approach. To date, we have not received any documentation that indicates that it is structurally unsound or what issues might be deteriorating as a result of some of the exposure, but that is something that we would look to collaborate on and make sure that that's being addressed moving forward.
Thanks very much.
Go ahead, Graham.
So when we do recommend the designation to council, I want to make sure we do not end up with another Gore buildings, Tivoli, Gatehouse. We have to make sure that they get a dry roof on it, make sure the windows don't allow moisture in, allow ventilation so it can keep the building dry until someone with a vision, such as the nice fine people that came in here earlier today, some people with a vision can come in and say, let's turn this into something wonderful. And it is a wonderful building.
And through the chair, just to add to that, although we didn't receive formal correspondence in time to be added to this agenda, part of the owner's indicated objection is that they now are planning to continue to move forward. There is a building permit, there is a final approved site plan, but that building permit has been sitting for a number of years and no action has been taken. And that's been, I think, part of the challenge of enforcing property standards when there is an open active building permit. That's something we can certainly look to collaborate better on with building inspections and municipal law enforcement staff, but I think that sort of exacerbated that issue. And if they are proceeding, as they're saying, there is still an active building permit, so we would look forward to seeing that progress as quickly as possible.
Any other further comments? Seeing none, may I have a mover and a seconder to put the report on the floor?
I see Graham and Stefan.
And if there's no other questions, we'll move to vote to approve the recommendations contained within the report. If there's no other further questions or discussions.
Sorry, you'll also be voting to receive the presentation as well.
So that's to vote to receive the presentation and to approve the recommendations in the report. Is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Item 8.2 is the PED 25146 is the monthly report on proactive listings for the Municipal Heritage Register, November 2025. May I have a mover and a seconder to put the report on the floor?
I see Andrew and Lynn.
Based on the report, the recommendations are that properties on, that staff be directed to list the following properties on the Municipal Heritage Register as non-designated properties as outlined in Report PD 25146 in accordance with Section 27 of the Ontario Heritage Act. So that's 276 Aberdeen Avenue, Hamilton Ward 1, and 74 Queen Street South, Hamilton Ward 2. Are there any questions from our committee? Comments? Go ahead, Graham.
I believe 74 is actually in Ward 1.
Through the chair, I think you are correct. Sorry for the mistake. Thank you for catching that.
You're welcome.
We can correct that with the clerk in terms of, for the public record. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Any other questions or clarifications? If not, we'll move to our vote to approve the recommendations contained within the report. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Item 8.3, PED 25231, it's a heritage permit application HP 2025-040 under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act for the demolition of the accessory building at 265 Mill Street South, Flamborough, Ward 15. May I have a mover and a seconder to put the report on the floor?
I see Andrew and Lynn.
Yeah. So we have before us those recommendations in the report. Is there any questions from the committee members? Seeing none, we will move to vote to approve the recommendations contained within the report. As we move to vote, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. We'll now move on to item 8.4, PED 25239, which is the notice of intention to demolish the building located at 152 King Street West in Hamilton, being a non-designated property listed on the Municipal Register, Ward 2. So may I have a mover and a seconder to put the report on the floor?
I see Graham and Councillor Crutch.
Okay. So within the report, the recommendation is that the notice of intention to demolish be the structure located at 152 King Street West in Hamilton, attached to Appendix B to the report, be received, and that the non-designated property located at 152 King Street West in Hamilton be removed from the Hamilton Municipal Register. Are there any questions from our committee members? So we'll start with Andrew, and then we've got Graham. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that, I'm very happy with this proposal. I think it looks great. The only thing I just want to kind of ensure is that it actually goes forward and it's not something that just ends up sitting there. And as soon as we lose the designation, it goes back to they can do whatever they want because we no longer have that authority. And the other thing I just wanted to bring up, and I do not in any way, shape, or form blame the current owners for this, but this is another example of a building, much like Graham just said, that has deteriorated to such a state that it now has to be demolished. And that happens far too often in Hamilton. And yeah, I really hope that this supposed report coming forward does something to address that because we're seeing it so much.
Through the chair, in terms of from an assurance perspective, so we don't have an active site plan application in, but the applicant has gone through formal consultation for site plan. That's part of what triggered the initiation of this process, the preparation of the heritage impact assessment, which was submitted with this notice of intention to demolish. And the conceptual plans, as you have seen, are intended to be moving forward with a formal submission for site plan shortly. There are a number of other items they're working through and finalizing before submitting, but we do anticipate that will be in soon. Obviously understanding first how council and Heritage Committee would advise in terms of this. So yes, nothing formally in place now, but we are expecting that to be moving forward imminently.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead, Graham.
Okay. Well, it pains me to lose another heritage building in that district. Hamilton has a history of tearing down buildings in that area. We've lost hundreds in that to build that monstrosity across the street from your lovely to-be hotel. We took down hundreds, like literally hundreds of buildings. So it's important that you pay homage back to the district. That's why I would love to see those pediments go back in so the people walking by can see them and say at least they knew how to make things back 100 years ago. It's important that we look right. That is my only concern. The building sadly is beyond salvage. I know that. But we got to remember that a little bit. Pay attention to the details and use as much as you possibly can and bring it back so us citizens can know what it was like. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? If not, we'll move to vote to approve the recommendations contained within the report. As we move to vote, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Item 11.2. 11.1 is our Heritage Buildings and Landscape Watch List. So before we move into our list, is there any addition that anyone would like to make to the list? Or oh, so, yeah, go ahead, Stefan.
It's 15 Victoria Avenue North. I don't think it's a designated building, but if you guys can look it up quick, it's a beautiful, unique Victorian home that's on the corner there, and they tore down a building to the south of it for LRT, and I just noticed the other day that the building directly to the north of it is now boarded up, so I don't know if it's in risk of being demolished. That's all.
So Stefan, that's one you'd like to add to the list? Okay. And under category red or yellow? Just concern at the moment?
Yeah, I guess yellow. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with it, but yeah.
So through the chair, we just need, so moved by Stefan, we just need a seconder, Graham, and then just the only other outstanding item is who would be monitoring it.
Stefan, thank you for looking after that one. Okay, so we'll add 15 Victoria Avenue North. So we have a mover and a seconder. As we move to vote, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that we'll add that item to our list. Are there any other additions? If not, are there any properties you'd like removed? Suggestions for removal? Seeing none, so we'll move on to updates. If I can start a speakers list of anyone that would like to do updates. You've got Graham. And Andrew, did you have any other question? Okay. Okay, so that's good. Okay, go ahead, Graham.
Well, I'll start with my usual St. Giles Church. We've had a couple of issues with litter and debris and stuff, but nothing exciting except for that break-in where they managed to smash in through the side. They've done a very extremely ugly repair on it, but at least it's secure now, so hopefully they'll look after it. Now my other one of concern is on number 13 under the red, 711 Concession Street, the former maternity hospital up on the mountain. It's extremely under threat right now, and I would like to see it get designated so we have some control on it to prevent the demolition, especially of the northern wing. This was built using taxpayers' money, not the province's money. This was Hamilton-built project. We should have control of it, not Infrastructure Ontario. It's not theirs, it's ours. But anyone from Hamilton here who was born in Hamilton was born in that hospital. Yeah, had a pretty good idea. Tens of thousands of babies were born there. And it's important that we remember this heritage. You can see that building from downtown. It's right on the escarpment. It's beautiful. There's no other structure like it in the city. There's nothing that exists like it. How many have open, or used to have open balconies, so they closed them off? That thing is just gorgeous, and we have to protect it. I guess the only Art Moderne building up on the mountain that I can really think of any significance. So we have to protect it. Have to do something to make sure that that view is around in another 100 years for people to see. That one has to be protected. Well, the reason I bring it up is that Infrastructure Ontario wants to tear it down to put up a big hospital. In Glasgow, Scotland, there's the Royal Infirmary built in 1914. They've kept that in constant operation. They've closed down a newer hospital to build another one. So if they can keep that running to modern standards, a 1930s maternity hospital should be able to be reused. We've too easy to discard stuff nowadays.
Thank you, Graham. Or do we have any other updates for properties before we move on? Seeing none, may I have a mover and a seconder to receive the updates?
I see Graham and Lynn.
And as we move to a vote to receive, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Do we have any other business, new business, staff updates? Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had one item I just wanted to bring up, which I think is going to be unpopular, but especially with Graham probably, but just as a thought, regarding the presentations that staff do regarding the designations, I know obviously because this is the last year we have to designate a lot of properties, there's going to be a lot more designations come forward. Also, I know the reports that you guys provide within the agenda are incredibly detailed, they're great, and it's really our responsibility as the committee to be reading through those and doing that ahead of time. And I really question the need for the presentations because they do take up a significant amount of time. And you've already provided all that information. So it is already a duplication of what, we already have. And moving forward with more and more designations coming up, that's just going to take more and more time. So, I know they're really interesting. I find them interesting too, but in the matter of saving staff time and saving us time during these meetings, that maybe we don't need those presentations.
Go ahead, Graham.
Okay. These meetings are not just for us. We are live streamed. We are open to the public. We have media such as Joey Coleman covering. They also need to be informed. The people also need to know that we have been told. We don't need homeowners and property owners coming back saying, we made decisions uninformed. This is documented proof that we were informed of the importance of these buildings, that staff did their job. Everyone knows. So we have to document that. Because if they go to the Ontario Land Tribunals, they're going to say, we didn't know what we were talking about. And they can pull up these videos and say, yes, we were told. So it may seem like a lot of time. It was 5 minutes. Is that really a long time in your life? You volunteered for this. I remember these meetings going 4 hours.
And although I agree with that, all this information is public, so everyone has access to all these reports. So that's my only thing. Again, I totally hear where you're coming from, but yeah, that's just my comment.
Through the chair, I can say certainly something agendas moving forward, depending on how big they are and how heavy they are. When we do agenda review, it's something that we can talk about with the chair in terms of expectations. And we also do try to hold the presentations to 5 minutes and continue to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of how we do our presentations. So if there's any specific feedback moving forward about our format and things like that, welcome that and how we can improve moving forward.
And I also think too, having the option to see a report if we feel, so at least if it's prepared, then we can see that. If not, if it's something that's an easy recommendation, then we can address that. Any other new business or other items? Go ahead.
Thanks. Through the chair, just as a staff update, yesterday evening we held an open house for the Melville Park West, the new proposed Heritage Conservation District in Dundas. We had a great turnout despite the blistery winter weather. and got some great feedback and looking forward to incorporating that and any additional feedback we might get. There's currently an online survey as well that's open until late December, and the draft plan is published online on the project webpage, hamilton.ca/melvillehcd. So encourage any additional feedback and looking forward to incorporating that and hopefully bringing forward a final proposed district plan to you folks early in the new year and bring that forward to council.
That's great news. If there's no other new business, is there anything? Seeing none, with no further business, the Hamilton Municipal Heritage Committee is now adjourned at 12:55, and our next meeting will be on December 12th at 12 o'clock. All right, thank you, everyone, and we will see you next month.
Sorry.